Hello, welcome to the African Emergency Room. Thank you for joining us this week. Thank you for all the feedbacks we keep getting from you. And we get positive feedbacks a lot, and we get some that complain about some things. Just know that we're taking all the corrections you've been giving to us. And that is why it seems as if we're improving gradually, Abby. All right, thank you. Today we have a familiar face. Some of you said you saw her for the first time and you never saw her again. We've gone after her seriously, and today we dragged her to the studio to come and talk to us about Oka. Oka in Igbo language means corn, okay? We're not talking about corn today. Oka here today is a Yoruba term for what we call in medicine the fontanelle. We have anterior fontanelle, we have posterior fontanelle. I will not show you where fontanelle is or what, but this is what our guest will be doing for us today. I called it Oka because, you know, it is very common, and when Yorubas have a word for something, they push it far and it goes around. People really know, like Agbo. Everybody knows Agbo. That is how a lot of people know Oka. So in Igbo, it's called Ndawaisi. I think the Hausas call it Sarari Akanyara. Yeah, I know the language is like that. So I want to welcome to the studio today Dr. Mfon Kerry.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming again. They've been asking of you. You've been running.
Really?
We have you today. Thank you for coming back to the African Emergency Room.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking for me.
So please, our topic today is the superstition of the fontanelle, which is called Oka in Yoruba. Please, what is this fontanelle?
That was my language. Like, full discussion.
What is the fontanelle?
So, the fontanelle basically is space, membrane space between the bones that make up the skull. So, basically, when you get born and your body is being formed, you have the skull is divided into two sides. You have the base of the skull, which comes out together and you don't see it, but you also have the cranium. So the bones that form the cranium, when you come out of your mother's womb or when a child is born, you notice that there's space. So people feel the space and start freaking out, like maybe the child didn't form correctly. But God, in His infinite wisdom, when He allows human beings be created, allowed for that space. The bones, as the child grows, they will, what we medicine we call ossify. They will become more firmer, for lack of a better word. I'm trying to think of an easy way to say it, but basically become stronger. Yes. So it becomes stronger, and then those spaces start coming together, and then by the time they now touch and completely come together, they fuse. That's what we call it, fusion of the bones. So up until the fusion of the bones happen, that space you feel is what is called the fontanelle.
Okay, so does every child come with it? Because I don't know why some are worried about some kids that have it, and some, I don't know. Are there kids that come and they don't have fontanelles?
Well, every child that is born should have a fontanelle. That's the correct thing. So if you're born and you don't have a fontanelle, you have a problem.
Okay.
So every child in the normal should have fontanelles. There are 4 fontanelles actually, but the ones that most parents are aware of are the ones that they can touch, the easiest one to touch, which is the one in front. We call it the anterior fontanelle. There's also one at the back called the posterior fontanelle. Now on the side you have the name is not coming to me now, but you have on the side between the temporal bone and then the parietal bone on the side. So you have different fontanelles. You also have one between the occipital bone at the back. So yes, you have on the side.
Okay, my worry now is with what we see. I'm sure in your pediatrics practice, you see this a lot. And I see it and I quarrel about it. I want to know if I'm wrong to quarrel about it. A lot of mothers, newborn babies, even in the neonatal intensive care units, they bring these babies and you see some kind of, I don't know how to describe them, irregular sometimes, yes, just on this spot on the baby's head. Yes. And then you'll be wondering, what is this? They'll say, it's for Oka, it's treatment for Oka. Okay, and I keep wondering that why would some babies need this treatment? And then for some who now maybe are religious, maybe they don't believe in some of these concoctions they put. They now use oil, maybe olive oil. Okay. So you see some babies come and they may not really have that, but you see oil on that place, treatment for the oka. What should there be treatment for oka?
Okay, so well, I'm guessing that there must be a lot of superstitious beliefs following it. I don't know the specifics of those beliefs, but I've seen a lot of parents do that. And what I ask when I say it, I'm like, okay, madam, fine. You did this, is okay. But I have one question. When your mother gave birth to you, was this the size of your head? And she's like, no. I'm like, yeah, so if that wasn't the size of your head when you were born, and you had to grow into your head as you know it, why do you think there's something wrong with this child who came out with this small head and still has to grow into his head? Do you understand? Because yes. For me, I think that's the easiest way to explain to them that God put that space there so that you can grow. The essence of the fontanelles basically is so that there is room for the brain to grow. And okay. Brain growth is what drives that increase in the space. And children, your brain, the growth happens rapidly in the first 3 years of life. So if for any reason that place now constricts, that means that child's going to have a small head and may or may not hamper brain growth and development. Now some children have early closures for some reason and they don't have issues. Some other children don't have early closures because usually I think I should say this, there's a point at which you expect them to close. So for instance, for the back one, you expect it to close between the 2nd to 3rd month of life after the child is born. The one in front, the anterior fontanelle, usually closes between, most children it closes by 18 months, but some children get to as long as 24 months before they have full closure. Some other children close earlier before that 18 months. It's a range really. But basically the reason is that you need the brain to grow, and the brain needs space to grow into. So if you look at a child, usually as they grow up, the head is usually bigger than the rest of the body. That's where a lot of the growth happens, and that's where most of the development you see in a growing child is driven from. So when a parent now wants to lock it for whatever reason, my first question to them is always, so if this thing closes and then this child for some reason, because there are certain things that can predispose to it and there may be certain complications as a result of that, and then suddenly the child has a small head, and then maybe the child is always irritable and always crying, and you're always wondering what's wrong with this child. Do you understand? I'm like, how is that a better end point than, just allowing the child grow up?
I see, for example, the babies are born and then it doesn't seem apparent, like they're not really seeing the fontanelle because, of course, the skin is covering it, and then there is hair. And then maybe there is an illness, maybe there's now dehydration or whatever, yes. And then it's now depressed, like you will still tell us. It's now depressed and it's now obvious. So instead of now treating what has caused the depression, they will go and, this is the problem.
This is the source of the diarrhea.
They will now go and start coming. But we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll give you some of these examples of how these people present, and then we'll tell you if there is a downside to doing these things. Don't go away.